So we get into Transis. Transis is launching on Monday, March 1st. Very exciting. And so everything you guys do goes through Transis.
Correct. Yeah, every single thing that Centro does runs through Transis as a platform, from site selection to planning and buying to digital insertion orders, all the way through accounting integration directly into finance.
Wow. And so when you left Real Media, you started building this?
Yeah,
this
so I left
software
Real
right
Media
then?
back in 2001. This first step in the process was to fix and scale local online. And we figured that if we could create automated software that simplifies the entire process from front to end, that we could actually help the industry scale all display media.
Interesting. And that was easy as pie, right?
Yeah, scaling local. You know, building great software takes a lot of time. And we've had the opportunity to take the hardest piece of the industry, okay, and and automating the most fragmented and complex piece of it, and then using our service company as a proving ground for the software to make sure it works perfectly, to make sure there's no flaws, to make sure there's no bugs, to make sure that it actually does what it's supposed to do from front to end. And so it really gives us a leg up as we bring the software to market, because we've been using it for 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
So it took about 5 years to develop it.
Yeah, it's taken I mean, there's a lot. I mean, when you're moving an industry off of Excel spreadsheets, you know, off of fax machines, off of email, and you are and you're, you know, what we call, you know, automating a lot of the labor processes. Okay, that's not something that you can just, you know, turn on overnight and make sure it works perfectly. It's why, you know, in this industry today, we're not left with a lot of great software, and we believe that's going to change over the next few years.
What was that moment that you found that you were like, okay, yes, we can release this now?
When we got finally to the point, for us, it was we had to get two things completed. You can automate the front end, the site selection, and you can get people off of Excel spreadsheets in the media buying process. And today all the conversation takes place inside the browser, so there's no emails going back and forth. But the last two pieces were, one, we had to create digital insertion orders so that there's no more paper and fax machines going back. And the last piece of it was the integration directly into accounting. And that's actually one of the most difficult pieces, so that you know, there's too much rekeying of data in the industry today.
Right.
So now with Transis, it happens in real time. Anything that happens on the front end by any media planner or any manager gets automatically communicated directly into the accounting software. So there's no discrepancies between the two, and it's literally pure efficiency. We felt we had to get to that last piece in order to be able to launch the system.
Transis initial study shows 31 to 69% increase in efficiencies. Where in particular have you seen those efficiencies appear?
Sure. So that's a great question. So you have to think about you just got to think about the intricacies of media planning today. Okay, let's assume you want to send an RFP out to 50 or 75 different publishers to see what they have, or even 100. Okay, first you have to find the contacts. Okay, then you have to. Most people are still usually emailing it out. Okay, in either in one, you know, BCC folder or in each individual one, and you're doing it with Excel spreadsheets and with Word. Okay, Transis literally with a few clicks eliminates all of that work. Okay, throughout the process, there's huge time savings there. Secondly, is in the back and forth communication. Now that everything's taking place inside the browser, there's no files being exchanged. All the communication takes place there. You know, it's just a much simpler process to get from point A to point B. And then you move into digital insertion orders, okay, so that you've got the digital IOs that go back and forth, so people can just literally log in, except they don't have to stand by a fax machine or fax things back and forth. And then you move into the export directly into the third-party ad server. So there's no rekeying of data into a third-party ad server. It goes directly from Transis directly there, which obviously pulls together the tags. And then you've got consolidated reporting inside the browser from all the different ad serving systems in the country that it interfaces with. So it doesn't matter if you're using PointRoll or iBlaster or DoubleClick or Atlas. It brings the information back. You can look at it in one place. And then at the end of the month, it's literally one click Importing, or actually communicating, importing is not even the right word because it's not an export-import, but it talks directly to the accounting software. So there's no rekeying of data. It eliminates a lot of the discrepancies that take place at the end of the month. So, I mean, imagine, having an industry where there's, very little discrepancy, and you don't have to spend 2 days every month trying to figure out why the invoice was wrong or why it didn't match your ad serving numbers.
That's incredible. And it's really just kind of like a dashboard for a media buyer, like the perfect instrument panel.
Yeah, it is. It's one interface that that automates every process for the actual media buyer and trafficker and finance person in the process.
Yeah, and I can understand that. I'm sure that getting the accounting software to integrating accounting software was probably the most difficult part.
It actually is. It's because until you start to think about all the different things, and the accounting here was interesting about accounting.
Mm-hmm.
We needed.
What? There's something interesting about accounting? What?
No, there's actually nothing interesting about accounting.
Had to make sure about that.
Here was what was interesting about the process of integrating with accounting, though. We looked at it and we said to ourselves, we cannot put our media planners in a cast. Okay? In other words, we can't limit their functions just in order to make sure everything communicates directly with accounting. We had to allow them the freedom and flexibility to do their negotiation, to work their job, and we needed a system to be able to compensate for that as the plans get put through the system. And so it is a very, very free and fluid system on the front end that captures all the different changes you could, and that's where the hard part came in. It's got to be 1,000 different little nuances that someone can make on the front end that will affect how billing looks on the back end. And you have to be able to, then the system will be smart enough to accommodate for that. So that actually took us, frankly, a couple quarters longer than we thought it was going to.
Yeah, wow.
Automated process software, we believe, is going to be a huge category in the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we know that Transis today is the first really workable, working, ready-to-roll product that's hitting the market. We expect that there will be competition coming at some point. You can probably guess who the main competitors are going to be in that space.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as comparable software today, there's a lot of discussion on DSPs and how they're helping people buy off of exchanges, and that's very helpful, and they're great businesses. Transis is, automating the other 80% of the display market, where it's not an exchange-driven and buy. It's actually a bit more premium direct-to-site and direct-to-sale process. So that's where we're focusing.